Okay. I think I gained a couple pounds. So, you know what? I'm going to try something new. I read on Mind Body Green that if you do your daily workout on an empty stomach, you burn more calories. So I'm going to try that today. But it's not completely an empty stomach because I did have spirulina with lemon water for breakfast. So, but that's all I've had though. So I feel pretty empty, pretty sort of. If I feel hungry if I think about it, but um, so oh, I am so excited! I created a music video for for my upcoming book, Jesus the Eternal Bridegroom, and I figured out how to play a YouTube playlist on my website so that when you go to my webpage, the music just starts. It's autoplay. I know that's a pain to some people, but they can always turn it off. But I'm such a music lover, and I've come up with music that I feel really represents the theme of my upcoming book, which is on a roll. I expect to finish by Easter, and so I have featured that at my writer's page, gabrieltana.com/writer.html, and at gabrieltana.com. So if you open to either one of those web pages, the playlist just automatically just plays. I figured out how to do it by messing with the HTML5 coding when I embed the video at my website. Anyways, it seems like I'm still doing my facelift exercises and my calisthenics. So yesterday I took a day off because I had to go shopping, and I bought me some food. I'm going to see if I can get this food to last for about 2 weeks. And I spend more time in devotions because Jesus, when I don't listen to him and he tries to talk to me, I get in trouble. So I think, oh yeah, so and I'm still working on cleaning. I'm going through my files. Anyways, I like to. It looks like I'm making some progress. I think I might have gained a little bit of weight, but maybe it's muscle. I don't know. Anyways, right after this, I'm going to go for my walk. Then I'm going to come back and probably have one smoothie. I'm not sure if I'm going to have smoothies every day, maybe every other day. That way I can get my groceries to last longer. And I'm so excited about this book that I'm writing for Jesus. I think Jesus is going to be really pleased with it. And Jesus hasn't scolded me about my Bible study and prayer. What he has scolded me about, though, is not listening to him. You can read the Bible every day like I used to do, and I was so caught up in worshiping the Bible as I read it that I worshiped it as God, the King James Bible, that I was literally like counting verses and trying to get secret messages out of the numbering to the verses and everything. And Jesus told me later when he was talking to me, he says, Gail, you're carrying that a little bit too far. He said, well, now what I do, now that he's corrected me about my idol worshiping the King James Bible as an idol, now what I do is I'm reading mainly from the New Living Translation, and I'm reading the passages saying, Lord, speak to me. And he has shown me so many spiritual truths and helping me to get more in balance. And he's actually having me go back to the days in my 20s when I was kind of rigid and self-righteous. He said, even though you took away from that time some rigidity and self-righteousness that I didn't like, he said, there were some aspects of that time that I admired in your life. You had great faith in me. You were willing to go out on a limb for me. You had courage. You had your priorities right. In other words, your heart was set on heavenly things and spiritual things. You weren't materialistic. And he said, the only thing I didn't like about that time was you tended to be a little bit too hard on some of the sins of the flesh and overemphasize those sins to the exclusion of some of the sins of the spirit. And so he said, that's why I had to allow you to go into the marriage with a self-righteous Pharisee so I could weed that out of you. He said, but now that we're starting to weed that out, he said, you need to go back and reclaim some of the good things you had in your younger days. He said, What I loved about you in your 20s was you were totally sold out to me. You didn't hold anything back. You were willing to step out in faith in a great way. I mean, when I left for Bible college, I only had like $20 on me. I didn't even have money for tuition. And I turned down a chance for an Air Force officer commission, took the next Delta flight to the Bible college, didn't even know if they would accept me, but Jesus had spoken to me in such a clear manner in the church service. We had a guest preacher who just showed up out of the blue, who happened to be the executive vice president of the Bible college I thought God might want me to go. And right before I went to that prayer meeting, at service, the Lord said, Gail, I said, Lord, when I go to the service tonight, if you want me to go to a Bible college and not to accept the Air Force commission, then do something in the service. And that night, I went to the service, and we had a guest preacher. He wasn't supposed to be there. He had an emergency in his family. He was the executive vice president of Baptist University of America. And I thought, oh my God, that was one of the schools I was thinking of going to. If this isn't a sign, then I don't know what is. So I kind of dismissed that. That's probably just a coincidence. And then I listened to the message. The whole message was about the excuses we make not to go in God's perfect will. And when that message was over, it was like the Lord said, Gail, no, don't go be an Air Force officer. Go to Bible college. I've given you a clear sign. Trust me and go. And Jesus said, you're kind of like at that stage in your life right now. We're kind of like going back around in a circle again. He said, I sent you to this particular Bible college because I knew they would train in you the self-discipline, the self-control, this total surrender to me that I needed from you so that I could use you in a mighty way, like I'm using you now. He said, you need to go back and reclaim some of that. So anyways, you may say, well, what about this bikini? Jesus actually said he likes a woman in a bikini. He says the only time he doesn't, he said he likes to admire his creation. He said the only time he doesn't like it is when she uses it to try to get men to lust after her body. I think the reason he likes me in a bikini is because I've got a lot of celebrities on my marriage list, and I look pretty good for a 57-year-old. And he likes the world to know that just because a woman is a born-again Christian doesn't mean she can't be hot and she can't be attractive. But, and I'm using my writings, he said, but always it's the inner beauty that matters the most. But, you know, Zach Knight has Jesuit agents who I admit look pretty good in a bikini. And that's because they're all Jesuit clones, and they're only about 2 or 3 years old at the most. He accelerates he ages them using accelerated growth hormones. And so, you know, they've got the advantage of only being a couple years old. And I do believe they work out too. There's nothing wrong with working out and having an attractive body. What is wrong is when you put that first, or you put sex or your lust first before the worship of God and before living a holy life. You say, you're going to talk about holy life? Jesus said it's not a sin to wear a bikini. In fact, Jesus himself has 6-pack abs, but yet he never really talks too much about it. But anyways, the thing is this. He doesn't mind a Christian woman being hot as long as she's committed to him and she's loyal and in submission to her husband. He does care about submission to husbands because when he considers Brent Spiner my husband, he calls Brent Spiner my husband. When I am not in submission to Brent, oh, do I get it from Jesus. Usually the next time that me and Jesus meet, he'll say, Gail, you messed up. He says, I'm working through Brent Spiner in your life. He's your husband. And whenever you go against your husband, and the way Satan's been tricking me is he's trying to get me confused so that sometimes I think I might be dealing with a Brent Spiner clone instead of Brent Spiner. And finally, Jesus said, Gail, you know what? One thing you really did good in your 20s was you read your Bible every day and you prayed. And I loved how you got into Oswald Chambers, My Utmost for His Highest. He says, those were good things. You need to go back to that. So when he got on me for worship of the King James Bible, I kind of got back from my daily Bible readings, and I didn't feel like it was as important because I felt like maybe that meant I worshiped the Lord too much. And so Jesus said, no, 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 Gail. He said, yes, when I tell you to go for a walk every day, I want to make sure you do that. And I haven't been emphasizing your Bible study because you've been doing that pretty much right most of your life. He said, just recently, when I criticized you about, worshiping the King James Bible over me like an idol, now you're going to the other extreme, and now you're not getting into the Word enough. So, and then when that happened, what happens when you get out of the Word and you don't meditate on it and sit still when you're reading it to let Jesus speak to you, what happens is you become susceptible to deception. And because I was getting away from the source of truth, which was the Bible, I was starting to lose some of my spiritual discernment. And when the real Brent Spiner was talking to me on Skype, I thought he was a clone. So Jesus is saying, okay. He says, now I've got you where I want you. You're going to read the Bible every day, meditate on it. And, if you're real busy and you got to wait till the evening, fine. But try to get in there every day, Lord, Gail, and let me talk to you. Let me guide your day. If you can't do it first thing in the morning, fine. And always go on your walks and take care of your body. And don't eat right, exercise, and try to get enough sleep. He said these are all important. It's all a matter of balance. So anyways, that's what the Lord's been showing me. And he says, don't neglect your ministry. He says, I consider you kind of like a pastor or an elder, even though I don't believe in women preachers, because he doesn't want me to quote Bible he doesn't want me to be like a woman preacher. He says, but he's instructed me to feed his sheep as his missionary writer. So, you might say, missionary writer. Anyways, I have been doing the waist exercises and some of the others. And Jesus is not against that. He said, Gail, you don't need to feel guilty about, doing some calisthenics to keep yourself looking nice. I'm all for that. It's a matter of balance. Spend some time in your body, spend some time in the Word, spend some time in cooking. Just, don't get off balance, and you'll be fine. And keep me first, and, all of your days are mine. So, anyways, the book's coming along great. And I'm not wearing any makeup, by the way. I'm still doing my facelift exercise. It looks like the face is lifting. And he's not against this, as long as I keep everything in balance. Balance. He said that what he hates about the Jesuits is they're so off balance. They worship their bodies to excess. They totally neglect the spiritual, even though they claim to be spiritual. They're actually devil worshipers, and they're just so off balance. You got to have a right balance. That's what he's showing me. And then this book that I'm writing, I believe, accurately portrays Jesus as he has appeared to us, his 21st century disciples. And if you go to my writer page or to my web page, to GabrielChana.com, you can hear some awesome music, which I think really portrays the themes to this book. I'm really excited about this book. I think it'll be out in Easter. Jesus, the Eternal Bridegroom. And check the links underneath this video to hear some of to go to my website and to read some portions of this book. I'm showing you the non-action, pretty much the non-action scenes, the scenes where I go deep into thought, because I don't want to give away too much of the plot or I might ruin the book.